Carney is going to meet with his cabinet virtually this afternoon. He's going to be discussing, among other things, the situation in Gaza. And the source tells CTV News that Ottawa is discussing whether or not to recognize Palestinian statehood. So for more this morning, we've brought in Michael Link, associate professor at Western University and former UN Special Rapporteur for the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territories. Good to have you on this morning. What does recognizing a state mean?
Well, what it means is that you're acknowledging the sovereignty of that state over its recognized territory. In Canada's case, if it was to recognize Palestine as a state, it would mean upgrading our relations with Palestine from having a representative's office and a representative in Ramallah to having an ambassador and a full embassy in Ramallah, and likewise for the Palestinians in Ottawa. It would also mean that Canada, in recognizing Palestine, would recognize Palestine's territorial sovereignty, which means essentially that it would have to act if that sovereignty was being infringed by a neighbor, i.e. Israel. Israel, as you know, has 360 settlements and 740,000 Israeli settlers in occupied Palestinian territory in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Those are all significant infringements upon a country's sovereignty and its right to self-determination. So those would be, if you like, actions that Canada would be compelled to take if it should wind up recognizing Palestine as a state.
You know, we would be following the footsteps of France, who said that they will recognize it at the UN General Assembly in September, and then the UK most recently saying it will do so unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire and allows more aid to enter Gaza. What is the strategy of attaching conditions to recognizing a Palestinian state?
Well, it may be really just diplomatic timidity. The stance taken by France makes all kinds of sense, that they're going to recognize the state of Palestine in September unconditionally. Recognizing a state of Palestine, as the UK has said, with all of these conditions attached, doesn't make a lot of sense either legally, politically, or diplomatically. All of the conditions that it is attaching to its recognition, i.e. Stop the war in Gaza, allow for a permanent ceasefire, allow aid to come in at scale, and don't annex the West Bank. These are all legal obligations that Israel has in any event. So saying that Israel should do these things, or recognition will be forthcoming, is actually saying, you know, you have legal obligations. We're going to recognize regardless, and we expect you to complete your legal obligations regardless of what our stance is towards Palestine.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the Palestinians do not seek a state alongside Israel. They seek a state instead of Israel. U.S. President Donald Trump says recognizing Palestinian statehood rewards Hamas. So how could Israel and the U.S. respond if France, the U.K., and then Canada move forward?
Well, I think the U.S. would find itself increasingly isolated in its defense of Israel. Keep in mind that France and Britain are both G7 countries. Both of them sit as permanent members on the Security Council. If both France and Britain go ahead with their recognition of the state of Palestine, that will leave the United States as the only country on the permanent membership on the Security Council, as, if you like, outside the room on this issue. And as for rewarding Hamas, I think I think we should say the opposite. I think this is something that Hamas, may say it welcomes, but actually encouraging the Palestinians to follow a diplomatic path, which has been in very short supply coming from the global north in years past, is saying that, look, diplomacy can work. We can recognize you. We can try to find a peaceful diplomatic path to having a Palestinian state, which is what virtually the entire world has endorsed. So for that, I think this is a positive step forward.
Michael Link, we always appreciate when you join us. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.